Hello and welcome back to Aveiro. This is more a very depressing night for the Republic of Ireland, who have lost 3-0 to Portugal. And there's not much you can really say about that. Outclassed, probably, could be the easy you could say. And, well, yeah, I mean, also some depressing stats here to go through. First thing actually I'm going to ask before I go on, how is the sound? We had a bit of a nightmare in the pre-game, so I just want to make sure that the sound is okay. As always, we are Irish Football's most interactive podcast, so do hit the subscribe button, scan that QR code, head over to our Facebook, Instagram, and our Twitter, and give the YouTube channel a cheeky subscribe. We'd really appreciate that too. And a big welcome to Republic of Ireland Player Tracker, who are watching their second aftermath with this year, unfortunately. Not much to celebrate at all. I mean, just looking at some of the stats, obviously it's 3-0 to Portugal at the bottom. Just to really hammer home the misery. Portugal had 13 shots to Ireland's 4. They had 7 on target. We had none. They had 3 off target. We had 2. Ronaldo, of course, probably, I'll say before Mark reminds me, I did actually call him one of Portugal's liabilities on last night's free match. So there you go, some liability, 2 goals for him. He got his 129th and he got his 130th goal for Portugal. Could be his last game in Portuguese home soil. Not really much of party atmosphere in the stadium afterwards. There was just a little bit of lack of honour. Not too much really going on. I remember when I was in Amsterdam last year and they qualified for the Euros. They had a big sort of DJ set in the middle of the park. No such thing here tonight. But tell us what you think. What did you make of that result? Did you think what did you think the manager's selection? Connor, of course, of the Republic of Ireland Player Tracker, he was absolutely livid over the selection. He didn't think that Troy Parrott should have had a starting burst because it was a game that's going to be feeding off scraps. To be fair, Connor was spot on with that. Probably a 4-5-1 would have actually been more beneficial. This was never going to be a game where we're going to boss possession. We're going to get many attacks, many chances. We got no shots at target. It was always going to be something we're going to be feeding off scraps. So maybe flood the midfield. Jason Knight, obviously, he did come on, but he didn't start. Tom Cannon finally made his debut for the boys in green. He now is no longer eligible for England. So that will move to bed. Probably that's one of the very few positives tonight. Decent game for Will Smallbone. Although Queven Gallagher was Ronnie Whelan's man of the match on RTE. And Keller was actually asked, just before it came on, he was asked afterwards, what do you think of the manager? Because it was, and we'll talk a little bit about that, about Ortiz's coverage and Jason Clean's comments on the managerial search. But he said players love John O'Shea, and it's been a fantastic camp the last couple of weeks. So players seem very much behind John O'Shea. Ronnie Whelan did say beforehand that if Ireland to win, this would be, the FAI probably appoint him. That wasn't the case, but he said he reckons it'd still be looking after him afterwards. And let's, see the comments coming in there, and please do keep those coming in. I want to hear from you guys out there. Tell us what you think. This is the podcast to do that. This is the place to do that. Here with Nancy Moore. You have to remember, as sobering as this was, it's Portugal. They're a top side. They won their 10 group games. Not the hardest groups, but they won their 10 games, conceded 2 goals out of that group. Dark horses somehow for the Euros. They're probably one of the most outstanding squads in world football at the moment. A fabulous team. So versatile. They can hit you so many different ways. Down the flank, the through ball over the top. The quality is fantastic. I think Seamus Coleman had a bit of a rough night tonight as well. They kept targeting that side. Dean Scales also this is a night he is definitely not going to want to look back on too much. Jacob Ryan, I thought he did okay. Did get some pleasure when there was a VAR call in the second half, and I think it was Diego Jota, actually. Diego Jota. We thought we were looking at a penalty actually. So that made me happy. That made me smile. Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, this is Portugal. We were outclassed by a superior outfit. You know, what can you say? This is where we're at. It's depressing state of Irish football. We're so far behind other nations, especially top nations as well. So anyway, let's hear your thoughts. They're mine. Let's get to the comments. They're coming in, and yeah, I want to hear from you guys out there. 3-0 scoreline flattery. Anyway, let's have a look. Dean Cusack, first comment of the night over on Twitter. How you doing, Dean? I think John O'Shea is tactically inept at this level. I mean, it was an interesting choice to go, 3-5-2. You know, it's not something you do. You know, the wing backs when you're on the offensive, we don't seem to have any. We don't seem to have any real options at wing back. Coleman is 35. We were playing Robbie Brady, who's a makeshift left wing back. So yet again, that's an interesting one as well. As I said, probably flood the midfield 4-5-1, especially against this sort of opposition. Daniel Granahan, how you doing, Daniel? After 4 games, I'm still not sure what a Shea team is good at. Average defense, average attack. But our team is average, but I feel like a Shea would be better than Kenny. Well, I mean, it's nothing to do with Kenny anymore. What did you make actually? Before I got to the comments, I meant to say, James McLean, he was quite vociferous on RTE. He said that the FAI started to become farcical. I mean, there's no argument there. Partly, I didn't see this, but I saw it on Twitter on the 42, and apparently said that Ireland would have had a better chance of qualifying for Euro 2020 if Mick McCarthy had stayed in charge. I mean, he's put the boot to Kenny there a little bit. So tell us what your thoughts are on that as well. Dave McGuinness, how you doing, Dave? O'Shea's not the answer. Brilliant first half compared to anything we did in the last 3 years. We played some football in their half and tried to come forward instead of passing it around. Our final third. I don't know. I think you're being a bit generous there, David. I mean, it's Portugal. You're not going to do too much against this team. You know, you're just going to try and break them down, try to make yourself hard to beat. I mean, he said in yesterday's press conference he wants to make Ireland horrible to play against. I mean, we were a delight today. I thought we might as well just open the door for them. It was really poor stuff. Dennis Grenell, how you doing, Dennis? Abysmal stuff from us. Could have been 6 or 7-0. We're not going anywhere fast, unfortunately. See, when you have a new manager, you really want some poor opposition to build the confidence, really, don't you? You don't want your likes of Portugal, Switzerland, Hungary, even Belgium. You know, 4 really tough games for John O'Shea. To be fair to him, 4 really good sides. And yeah, it seemed like a strange choice. I mean, if you're going to play a team the caliber of Portugal, you're going to ask a load of players that basically are on holidays. And I'm not putting the boot into the players. They've had a long, tough season. There's nothing in this game, really. They've been told John O'Shea, well, we don't know if he's going to get a job full time, but it's very difficult. There's no points at stake. There's no real places at stake because, you know, he's the interim manager. So it's very difficult, I think, to get excited for this one. Denador O'Gonder, how you doing, Denador? Do you think the performances under O'Shea suggest Kenny was not holding his team back as much as sometimes suggested? Performances so far have been very similar. Well, I think with John O'Shea, he's had 4 games against, as I said in the last comment, against 4 really good sides. Under Stephen Kenny, you know, we played Latvia, 2-0 up, got back to 2-2, and barely won 3-2. That was last year, started last year. I think it was a game against Armenia. It was Azerbaijan. I think it was Azerbaijan. Same again, 2-0 up, 2-2, and barely won, barely beat Gibraltar. So I don't think it's really fair to compare these performances to performances under Stephen Kenny. You know, I think people now are going to look back and think, well, last time we played Portugal, um, in Portugal. It was 2-1, last minute goals and the 0-0 draw. But I don't think that's fair to really compare that to John O'Shea, because we also had some really poor performances from Stephen Kenny. The Gibraltar game at home, we won 3-0, but it was 0-0 at half time. So, let's not get carried away here. David McGuinness, three made no sense. Sammy should have got the 90 minutes if anything was going to happen. Goal threat wise, it would have come from him. Do you think he would have been better off playing behind front two as opposed to playing left side in front three? I think it's a strong position. I think it's more of a number 10, really, isn't he? It's better playing behind a forward. But I mean, it's a game you're going to get scraps in. James Agnew, how you doing, James? Tough night in the office, as we like chasing shadows at times, but we have to learn from tonight's experience. This is the level we have to aspire to get as close to as possible. England next, safe trip home, lads. Yeah, it doesn't get much easier, does it? Even if it's not John O'Shea. Next game's England at home. Yeah, I mean, we were so far off it. So far off it. If we're going to compete against teams like Portugal, we have to pack the midfield. I think we have to really just make it as difficult as possible. Very difficult to do it on a night like tonight, Dave McGuinness, Cannon should have got more minutes. He's a threat. Yeah, he actually, when he went 3-0 up, he almost scored down the other end. I was actually putting a post up on Facebook, and I just looked up and I saw he hit the side netting. Yet again, not going to learn too much about him tonight, because you're a striker in this game. You're feeding them scraps. Shaky boy, Hayden, shaky boy. Adele needs to start. Him and Johnson actually were an attacking threat. You know what? I've been one of the biggest critics of Martin's love child. Can't without it. But no, actually, last couple of times I've seen him, he's quite good. He came on there, he's aggressive. But yet again, you're not going to see too much from him in a game like today. We have so little of the ball. But no, if he carries on now, he's back in the hunt. Stephen Ring personally thought Smallbone was shocking tonight. Only bright spots for Brian Kelleher and Cannon. Steve, controversial. Very tough night, I think, as well. I mean, they're playing in a midfield too, getting overrun. As I said, don't think he got any help from the manager. 4-5-1. I think would be a better option. Paul Culleton. How you doing, Paul? Jacob Ryan has to be starting for us going forward. A clear ducted replacement, 9+ years younger than Shane and playing at a much higher level with Europa League football to come next season. Yeah, he's done himself no harm. I thought he was very good. Obviously, he got John Egan and Rombo Bonadelli to come back, Nathan Collins to come back as well. But definitely, if they're all fit, well, Brian still needs to be included, I think, in the squad. Dave McGuinness. If that was Kenny Ball, it would have been 5 or 6-0. Not been funny, David. It should have been 5 or 6-0. There was absolutely it was fire at will. They were lining up shots towards the end. It was absolutely dreadful. From Ireland. I mean, yet again, it's a quality Portuguese side. I'm not trying to put the boot into O'Shea. He's had 4 really tough games, and I said I don't think this is enough to learn. I've said it throughout. I don't think this is enough to learn about O'Shea as a manager. He has had the baptism of fire, and if he does keep the job, his 5th game is going to be against England at home. Say with Hungary, there was a team there that, well driven, pound for pound, kind of the same as us, have that star midfield player, which always helps, who takes all the corners and all the free kicks and the goal kicks. But they're organised. They know what they're about. They all know their job. We don't have that because we don't have a full-time manager. And I do feel sorry for John O'Shea. I think he's between a rock and a hard place, because yet again, I'd imagine he's been told this isn't your team. You do not have the right to end the career of any player. Shane Duffy, for example. So he's not been able to put his stamp on the team. That's my take from it anyway. Brian Farrell. Love the comments coming in, guys. Keep them coming in. We've got the use of the media room for community section for the next hour and a bit, so it could be a long one. Greg Farrell, never been more delusioned in an Irish team in my life. O'Shea, you would think right. We're outnumbered in midfield. Go 4-4-2 or 4-5-1 to try at least outnumber them in midfield, but no, nothing. That's a fair point, Graham. That's a fair point as well. Yeah, I would have gone 4-5-1. I would have accepted. Look, lads, you're not going to get much of the ball. It's Portugal. They're at home. Just make it difficult for them, and either get a positive result. Sorry, phone just started ringing there. Even though my phone's on silent. But yeah, sorry, lost my train of thought there, Graham. Yeah, and pack to midfield. That's what you always do, isn't it? When you get a team, but this is a team that can hit you so many different ways. They like the flanks. You pack to midfield, you nullify that threat, or you do your best to negate that threat. So then then they're hitting the balls over the top, and it just makes things a little bit simpler. But when you play that style of football, it just left us open. I think we were too vulnerable, and it showed in the end. It could have been 5 or 6-0. Dave McGuinness, much better at the back. O'Brien was a class act. I thought so too. It's just, although Scales, I think, had a very poor game, I thought O'Brien was very, very good. He is definitely one for the future, and he's definitely knocking on the door there. In the next one, though, certainly, if he keeps it going. I mean, apparently Borussia Dortmund are after him. He's playing at a good level. But yeah, gonna move it on. Ross Dunworth, how you doing, Ross? Such a frustrating team to watch. Can't string any pass together. Our players look nervous on the ball. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? There was one in the first half, actually, Ross. Ross, I don't recognise your name. I think you're a new viewer. Welcome. And there was one where Adamida, right over here, ran into the box. There's actually a couple of situations like this, but this is the one I can remember the details of. In the box, and there's nobody around him. There's no one near him. Ball has to come back to Robbie Brady, and then Robbie Brady just has to play it back to O'Brien, and then that's it. The threat's gone. There was nobody. It looked like they didn't know whether to come and go sometimes. It seemed to get a bit muddled, actually, and a little bit disorganized at times. But a couple of times that happened. There should have been bodies in the box there when Adamida was on, but it wasn't. And the ball just went back and just passed around. And that's why we had no shots on target. Shaky Boy, how you doing, Shaky Boy? Liam Scales isn't good enough anymore. We need Amma Bombadeli or Collins to come back. Well, I mean, to be fair, they do need to come back. It hasn't been a good window for Scales. Well, I mean, I think it was okay in the game against Hungary, but tonight he was really, really, I think, exposed a little bit tonight. And I like Liam Scales, but I think against this opposition tonight, he was definitely outclassed. Paul Culleton, hey, Paul, again. Thought Tonkan had some nice touches when he came on to make his senior debut. Well, that is one of the positives tonight, Paul. He made his senior debut, puts all that to bed, and hopefully now we can kick on. Dave McGuinness, you feel there's more positives than previous games? Was there? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it was, I mean, 3-0 down with 30 minutes to go, and they had so many shots. I mean, I've got to remind you, they had 7 on target. We had none. I don't really see if there was any positives, to be honest. And a goalkeeper got man of the match, from an Irish point of view anyway. David Redmond, Mark Canham should be sacked in the morning. This needs to be spoken about. He is the one that has us in the situation. Who in the FAI really believes in this man? He's a con man, says David Redmond. Strong words, David. But yeah, I mean, he is the director of football. And he's, he made some promises. He made a lot of promises. Thought we'd have a manager in place for the Nations League draw in February. I believe March then was touted. And then we were supposed to have somebody in charge in early April. And then we were told in late April that there's nobody. And I do think John O'Shea, I do feel sorry for John O'Shea. I do think he's been messed around a bit. What was the word that Stephen Kelly used? I can't remember, but I thought I wrote it down. But he did actually say it's been, something like along the lines of what I just said. He's been messed around here. And he said, and Stephen Kelly said, thank thank God we have somebody like John O'Shea. And to be fair to John O'Shea, someone else probably would have said, no, would have given him two fingers. But John O'Shea has come in, he stepped in. It hasn't gone well tonight. Portugal are a hell of a team. I'm not trying to. We try not to do it here in Lansing Roar. We don't try to glorify things here. I know some of you might find it hard to believe, but Portugal are a top side. I think they're going to win the tournament. Actually, they are a phenomenal side, and this was a really tough ask to come here and try to get anything, and especially under the circumstances. No points at play. Players are on the holidays. I don't know where I'm going with that, but John O'Shea, I mean, fair play to him. He's come in when the FAI have needed him. And yeah, you're right. Mark Hannum does have a lot to answer. He has a lot to answer for, Mark Hannum. Paul Flanagan, time to move on and get some of the under-21s involved. Otherwise, we are going backwards with players who have had their international careers. By the way, under-21s drew 2-2 with the England under-20s, not the under-21s, as much discussed last night on the preview. But the under-21s come along very, very nicely. But this is the level. And what we saw Portugal, that's what they have to achieve. That's what we have to try and strive for. Shaky boy again. Tom Cannon did CS need to be needs to be used like Johnson is. I thought Johnson was okay when he came on. But yet again, Johnson, Mikey Johnson, I don't think he appeared in the game against Hungary. And I think we were crying out for him a little bit, maybe at half-time. David H., we're just too predictable when we attack. No creative player who could pick a pass. Teams know exactly what we're going to do. That's our main problem. Funnily enough, our most creative player, David, I would argue, is probably Robbie Brady, who's playing as a left wing back. But of course, that's where he plays these days. Sammy Smollix as well. But Sammy Smollix is sort of like a cheeky player, isn't he? Like, he makes a nuisance of himself. He does make things happen. But in terms of creative, I'm not too sure. But yeah, it just seemed to be very predictable. And when we did get in, as I said earlier on, Adam Ida in the box, looks up, no one around him. And it goes back to Robbie Brady, and he squares it, and then the attack is lost. Ross Dunworth, Matt Doherty shouldn't be anywhere near that team. I don't think we can blame Matt Doherty for this, Ross. Seems to be getting blamed for everything. High taxes, let's blame Matt Doherty. And to be fair, we put the welly in ourselves. But no, I mean, Matt Doherty, there is a good player in there. He's had a poor run of form, and players should be in the squad on merit. But yet again, probably our future player wasn't involved in the squad, Fessi Abiselli, so I don't know. You got Seamus Coleman, who's 35, Matt Doherty, who's gone off the boil and has been for a number of years. I think Fessi Abiselli, this would have been a great experience for him. I don't think he would have done much worse, to be fair. James is waiting for that call. Paul Flanagan, I believe we're talking about James McLean. He probably is. I mean, he was very, very very nice about John O'Shea, wasn't he? I've actually got the comments here, sorry, because we had no telly here in the media section. We had no plugs for a while for the first bit. Now that's why it was a bit disorganized the pre-game, because we came in and it was just like boom, boom, boom. So I had to watch the game on my laptop. We didn't have a screen. They used to have screens here, I believe. So I had to write stuff down, and that is not pretty, let me tell you. But James McLean, I had the first part of my notes on my laptop where I normally have them. He reckons, actually, James McLean, that there's nothing to lose in giving John O'Shea the job. He says people go on about experience. Well, how do you get experience? And he called the FAI process a farce. Stephen Kelly says the FAI have strung him along. That's what he said about them as well. So what do you make of that? Have your say. Get involved. Get your comments in. They're coming in. Keep them coming. But yeah, it does seem James is keeping John O'Shea sweet, Paul. Johnny United, how you doing, Johnny? Wouldn't take anything McLean says seriously. The man is a kid. Jesus. I don't have a producer here, folks, just to make you aware. It's all just me. Dave McGuinness, I'm still firmly Uton. Don't think John O'Shea can grind out ugly wins or draws. If that was a qualifier tonight, an ugly draw would have been possible. And the reality with our pool of players, play the passing game against the weak nations. I agree. I think, look, I think there's enough there in that team to, you come to a place like tonight, qualifier, you pack the midfield, you put a player up on top, you say, sorry, mate, you're feeding off scraps tonight, scraps for you tonight, and we're going to do what we can. And then when you're playing your likes of Georgia, although they're not exactly minnows, they're going to the fucking championships and we're not. For example, but if you're playing someone like, your minnows, whatever. Yeah, play the stuff, play against them, and do your stuff there. Especially at home as well. You can put it up to a team like Portugal at home, get the crowd behind you, a few tackles flying in. Or Graham Farrell, if you're watching, stamp like they did, stamping on Sammy Smodics as well. But yeah, I think there's enough here to make it hard for the better teams and play the good stuff against the weaker sides. It doesn't all have to be, passing it, but also doesn't have to be hoofball either. There's enough there, I think. Mark O'Reilly, wouldn't be too hard on a team. Portugal are a top team who should go close in yours. That's the thing, Mark. Look, at least we were outclassed by a classy side. We weren't outclassed by, a so-called minnow. It wasn't Cyprus 5-2 in Nicosia, or last, San Marino or a team like Latvia or whatever. This was a top side. Peter M. Why are the media so up for O'Shea? He was sacked as a number 2 by Reading, Birmingham, Ireland, and left under 21s. He's not good enough. I think it's because it doesn't seem to be anyone else on the horizon, Peter. I think that's more it. It's not down to that O'Shea is so good. It's more like we don't seem to have many options. NBL Television Network. The only real thing that we've learned from the 2 friendly matches, O'Shea is not cut out for international management at this time. Well, 1 win, 1 loss. Daniel Graham. Doesn't Tom Cannon have to play a competitive game for Ireland before he's nation tied to Ireland? It's all a bit mad, Daniel, but I believe he is now tied to Ireland. That's only the case until you're 21, that you had to play a competitive game. But because he's now 21, he's played a match for Ireland, albeit friendly. He's now tied to Ireland. He's ours, I believe. Shaky boy. Mick McCarthy was the last good manager for Ireland. Should have been given the job back before Kenny. He was given the job before Kenny. That's who Kenny got the job from. Dave McGuinness. Portugal have 2 first 11s that contain world-class players in most positions. This wasn't as bad as it could have been. No. But that's because they missed a plethora of chances, hit the post. Look, I'm not having a go. I mean, Portugal are top side, but they hit the post. They had a goal disallowed, could have had a penalty. Ronaldo, I thought they were lucky not to get that penalty in the first half as well. This could have been 6 or 7. Graham Farrell, how you doing? Continued. Leave Scales. I watched him at Aberdeen, as I said before. He was shit. And now we're asking to play the ball out at the back. He was Portugal's best attacker tonight. Oh, dear. Peter M. Also, I hate to say, but Sandy Smodics isn't good enough at this level. Parrott is pointless. Cullen isn't up to much. And 3 at the back doesn't work. We need 3 midfield to stop being constantly overrun. I would have gone with 5 in midfield, to be honest with you, Peter. I think that's what we should have done there tonight. But yeah, I think the Parrott, yet again, Parrott is a good player. And I think when you play him, like that team there tonight, maybe against, one of your lesser nations, yeah, fair enough. But I think when you're playing a team like this tonight, like England, we play this system against England, we're going to get absolutely battered. Pack the midfield, accept it. Just pack the midfield. Culleton, very unlikely to qualify for the World Cup after missing out the last few Euros and not having qualified since 2002. I'm even getting worried now that we might not qualify for home Euros in 2028. Well, unless things improve drastically, Paul. Tom Brennan, how are you, Tom? I think at this stage, O'Shea is the man for the job. Against the 4 teams he's played, win, drawn, 2 losses. Portugal likely win games in the Euros by a 3-goal margin. Never failed to get out of the group stage of the Euros. Portugal, and I think that's going to be the case in 2024 as well. Alan O'Brien, Coleman to Hardy Brady, international careers should be over. We need to build for the future, and by playing them, we are not. Yet again, I think that's just because we have an interim manager, and even if O'Shea does get it, I believe he hasn't been told, you got the job. I think he would have picked a very different squad. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but this isn't John O'Shea's team, not yet anyway. Now, Fitzpatrick, the thing that has really annoyed me on O'Shea so far is playing players out of position. Smodics 4 caps out wide every game. Troy Parrott out wide, whilst we have Johnson on the bench. That's a very good point, Nathan. I agree with you on that one. Smodics is a number 10. He should be playing behind the front 2 or behind 1. Because even instinctively, I looked at it and went, I was talking to Connor, sent him a WhatsApp. Goes, Connor, this is in my mind how this is going to line up. And he goes, yeah, spot on, except for I thought I had Smonix behind Parrot and Ida. And he goes, no, Smonix, Parrot behind Ida. And I thought, yes, that doesn't make any sense. But there you go. Mark O'Reilly agrees with everything Dave McGuinness says. Good man, Mark. Stephen Ring, don't understand why it took so long to bring on Knight. Knight should have started. He's just energy. Very good player. Yeah, I don't know why he didn't start yet again. It should have been in a packed midfield, in my opinion. Shaky boy again. We have so many players in form and young rising potential in the biggest leagues. We need to build on the youth and sack Duffy and bring in Hodge and McNulty. Graham Farrell. Why was Parr playing wide with Ida up top? Ida is like Teflon. Nothing sticks to him. Luke Nixon, how you doing, Nick? Luke, when we get the ball, the weight of our passing is so bad. Cullen had everyone else just roll the ball around instead, and everyone else just roll the ball around instead of punching into players. No tendency in possession. That is something that the next manager is going to have to sort out. But yet again, in the season friendly, Dave McGuinness. As for John O'Shea, it'll be stand to. The hype after the Hunger Game is stupid. There was a bit of pluckiness in the first half, but bringing on a down expecting impact shows he's not the man. As an example of decision, woeful player. Well. I thought he was actually all right. I'm one of his biggest critics. Peter M. Christ, England next with O'Shea's manager and 3 at the back. It's a depressing thought. Well, that's if he gets the job. Paul Culleton, I think we might need to get the European Championships expanded to 32 teams in order for us to qualify. We've had very few good results since 2017 in competitive matches under a few different managers. I don't think we've beaten a top team competitively, have we? Well, sorry, Scotland at home. Scotland at home, the 3-0. On this day 2 years ago. Dave McGuinness again. Johnston is a waster. McGeady to constantly missing. McGeady Mark II constantly missing passes and trying to beat multiple men. He took it to the byline twice when the pass was on and gave it away every time he got it. I don't think the hype surrounding him, or I don't get the hype surrounding him. He's overrated. Well, John O'Shea must agree with you because he hasn't really played him. Brandon Walsh, we're just so easy to play against. I don't know what this obsession with 3 at the back is. Historically, we've always been more solid with a back 4. And maybe if we actually use wingers on the flanks, we might be able to create a bit more. We really need an experienced coach in ASAP. Anthony Doherty, serious lack of anything to be hopeful about. Going to be Willie Sagnol anyways, I'd say. Can he do any better than O'Shea? Could do. Possibly not with the players. Jamie, can't play small ball in a 2. Doesn't cover enough ground. I think playing 2 tonight was a little bit naive in midfield myself. Dave McGuinness, I don't want to see John O'Shea manage your career end before it's begun. He should be part of the setup and as a future boss, just not now. I've said that too, amongst many things. I think John O'Shea, maybe this time around, look, at this point, I'd have anybody in almost, just somebody can come in and just get their message across and get it done. But yeah, I do think John O'Shea should be, I was going to say groomed. That word seems to carry a lot of negative weight these days. But he should be groomed in a positive way. As the next number 1. Graham Farrell, 4 meaningless friendlies is hardly a baptism of fire. Yes, okay, he's been shafted by the FEI, but he's nowhere near it. Paul Culleton, cheers for the shows. Love the podcast. Haven't been able to listen live a lot recently, although I have to go look for a new podcast provider as Google Podcasts is closing down in about 10 days. Just head to this. Just go to a YouTube, Paul. Good man. But yeah, no, good to have you back, Paul. I haven't had you regular for quite a while, so glad you're enjoying it. We're doing our best. It's been, when you speak about baptism of fire, it's been a bit of a not gaffer, but a gaff kind of ridden experience the last few days, from Wi-Fi going wrong, plugs not being found, all sorts of stuff going on. At least when you're in Dublin, it's a bit different. You know what you're going to get, and normally everything is excellent, to be fair, from the FEI. But when you go to these different places, like, it's a bit mad. And also when I'm staying in Luxie's house, my mate Jay, you always know, like, grand Wi-Fi, golden Labrador, Jerry, biggest lapdog in the world, fantastic. But when you're relying on dodgy Wi-Fi in these hotels, Jesus. Peter M, I mean, look, Willie Sagnol has a shite Georgian team to the Euros. If he wants it, then I don't see why we wouldn't take him. He will be organised at the very least. Well, I mean, he's done a decent job. Very good player in his time. Does have a bit of baggage, though. Did make a some unfortunate comments. Have a look for those about African players. Just saying. Dave McGuinness, it's time to stop dreaming of us playing gorgeous tippy-tappy football and go back to grinding out results. I think that's what we were trying to do. Pat the Baker, we badly need a proper left back. Surely there's someone better out there than Brady or Dowda. Ireland don't do the basics right. The first goal was like Sean Maloney's in Scotland several years ago. Our throw-ins are always just fired up the line into a group of players. It does seem like the basics just aren't being done. John Buckley, how you doing, John? The players were just going through the motions after Ireland went 2-0 down. You can't judge anything on tonight. Ireland were just playing a far superior team. West Coaster, how you doing? O'Shea is, unfortunately, in over his head. It's not his fault. We need a new manager. Unassociate with the failed Kenny regime. A new start. It's just a pity we wasted these 2 weeks. Now, that I agree with. Any time, actually, we've wasted all of our time. Dave McGuinness, I agree McCarthy would have got more out of them in the last 2 campaigns and the Nations League. I think that's to do with about 20 minutes behind in the comments. Tom Webb, feel we're massively overreacting about this. Portugal are one of the top teams in the world. We didn't put the knife in Kenny for losing to France and Netherlands. It was Greece that killed him. O'Shea should be judged on results against teams on our level. Peter M, if you play forward back, we can get Benny and Johnson either side of a proper 9 and small bones released with 2 behind him in midfield. Kevin O, on a positive note, the all-white kit didn't look too bad. No, at least it didn't have the big black sky sign on it. Mine. We are better than that. People wanting Collins back, I agree. However, people were very down on him before. Seamus McGoldrick, how you doing, Seamus? Had to be 5 in midfield tonight, 1 up front, and frustrated them at forward back. That's what I would have gone for, Seamus. Peter M. Scales could be a left back option when you're against the pump, but not as a central defender, and definitely not in a back 3. Looked very poor. He was badly exposed tonight, Peter, I think. Paul Culleton, and congratulations to one of Irish football's biggest supporters, Labour's Aidan O'Riordan, on taking the 4th and final seat in the Dublin constituency for the European elections. I think he follows me on Twitter, actually. Graham Farrell, I know nothing about Irish politics, but I presume that's a good thing. Graham Farrell, Smollex played a great wide pass to Coleman, who went back into Cullen, who then played it to someone else and went straight back to centre half, and we lost it. I could see the free kick. Yes, that was the other one. There was a couple of those times, very frustrating. And when you're playing a team like Portugal, where you're going to have very little of the ball, you have to make it count. You have to make it count, and we just didn't. Can I second a sack for Cannon? Beyond a joke, says Stephen Ring. Stephen O'Grady, what is your back 4 for 2025? That's a tough one. Depends on system, really. If it's let's just say with a flat back 4. I mean, it's got to be Ebicelli. I don't know. I suppose in a 3, you'd have Amabamidele, you'd have Darryl O'Shea, and you would have you stumped me there, Stephen. Sorry, because I'm just getting all these permutations, but you've asked for a back 4, and I'm thinking, God, what if we play 3 to back? What if we play a 4? But I mean, look, Ebicelli, he's the future. We have one right wing back who's 35. We have another one who hasn't been up to it in Matt Doherty. We don't really have anyone left back. You've got Ryan Manning, who, for whatever reason, players don't fancy him. I don't know why. We've got a plethora of stars. I mean, Scales can play as a left back, but you have a plethora of stars in centre. You got Egan. I mean, Egan will be gone probably in 2025. But you got Jake O'Brien, you got Darryl O'Shea, you have Andrew Amabamidele, Nathan Collins. You know, you could carve. I think you could carve a decent back 4 out of those. I just can't get into the specifics. Graham Farrell, it's bollocks, and whoever the fuck thinks we've got players that can play a passing game is nuts. We need to be aggressive and mix the long and short game. It surely suits us better. I agree. I think there's enough there to mix it up. Peter M, our team must be getting paid by Shea. Jesus Christ, everyone of the pundits are banging the drum left, right, and centre. I mean, you've got 2 former teammates of his. What do you expect, Peter? What do you expect? Dave McGuinness, the main thing I saw was the first half they were up for it, totally outclassed, and played off the park. But they wanted, I was going to say something else there, to be there and play for the manager. Had a bit of a bejesus about them at times. Haven't seen that in a long time. Never played a game under the Messiah that you saw them walk out with that bit of vigour and grit. Are you talking about Stephen Kenny? There's a way to try and play, and it was a tough opposition, but they came out with a bit of intent where we're Portugal are top side, and they'll win the championship, I presume, is what you're going to say. Newton will get them grinding out results and wins. Won't be pretty and playing stylish ball against weaker nations. I think right now, a manager that would just grind out results, people would take. Dave McGuinness either should not have been taken off either. Daniel Granahan. I suppose one good thing to come from O'Shea, Ireland side, is that we don't concede long range goals like we did on Stephen Kenny. No, just inside the box, as we did tonight. And almost a free kick. David H. We should wait and get Sagnol, in my opinion. He changed everything when taking George's job. He said recently in an interview, such mentality and approach. Nothing against O'Shea. He did okay. He's interim. Dave McGuinness, O'Shea interview now. We're still about 20 minutes behind. Just tell us what he said, please. Also, O'Shea's being snagged off by the FEI. If we have any dignity, he tell him to fuck off. Adam Cabinet, unfortunately, we just didn't have it tonight. Some very tired players out there, and also it's the end of the season, and it's against a top side. Video vibes, how you video vibes? We are afraid to attack and seem to like playing in our own half. Ireland in general never shoot long range and are afraid of one-touch football. We need to learn to shoot on the first touch and near the box. Anytime we watch them train, they never train one-touch football. It's always a touch and pass, touch and pass, touch and pass. From what I've seen when they're training here, I don't know what they do in the training ground. We watch them train, but you watch 15 minutes. It's normally mostly just stretches. You don't really get to see the technical stuff. Irish Jedi, people are starting to realise where we stand in the pecking order of international football. Anthony Doherty, I blame the poxy jersey. Stephen Ring, O'Shea said last week that firstly picked up a knock in his last game for Nazi. That is right, actually, Stephen. God, it's about 3 weeks ago. Christ, says Peter M. If we get McLean back for the England game, we might as well put out the Mayfield under 12s. Irish Jedi, that was pathetic from John O'Shea and the Irish pundits who won't call it as it is. We need a manager with at least some level of experience, not just a nice guy who played at a high level. The Ramajammers. It was another awful night. Let's not forget we were just as bad in the hungry game last week. There's no argument that Kenny was way overstepped and a cheap option, but O'Shea is not the answer. Tom Webb, how you doing, Tom, from Twitter? 5-2-3 is a really complicated system to attack with needs really athletic wing backs and certain midfielders. We're too slow to shift the ball left, right, and when we do shift it, the wing back is often isolated and has to pass back. I think playing a 4-5-1 would allow us to shift the ball from left to right quicker and would give us a better penetration. That's a problem that absolutely plagued the Stephen Kenny era. Playing a wing back system with players that can't run, or they're not wing backs, they're either makeshift wing backs, or if they are wing backs or full backs, they don't have any pace, and they're like Seamus Coleman's 35, and Seamus Coleman that was 10 years younger, yeah, absolutely. But Matt Doherty's gone off the boil, and Ryan Manning doesn't even have any pace in him. So why are we playing a system of wing backs? We play Colin Dowda as a wing back. He's not a wing back. We play Jason Knight as a wing back. He's not a wing back. Alan Brown is a wing back. Yet again, he's not a wing back. So why do we keep trying to hammer square pegs into round holes? Uni SUFC, how you doing, Uni? Said it after Hungary, the late goal covered over the performance. Again tonight, shit all over. These players are simply not good enough to play high tempo possession football. Go and get an experienced manager with a set of tactics that suit players and has experience ASAP. And then it's England in September. Irish Jedi done a short corner and press that Portugal got through every single time. Poor tactically tonight. Right there, it was so poor. I had a perfect view of the goal, and I was like, oh God. You just knew. It just stood off. And Smolix didn't do anything. Smolix lost him. Felix Xiao, was it? Xiao? And Scales. I think it actually hit off Scales. Scales tried to press, but it was too late. But yeah, Smolix, we just switched off completely. And there's a few of those tonight. Jim Bear, obviously Portugal's class showed, but where has Irish aggressiveness gone? I agree. I agree with that. But, so I've just lost my marker. But very difficult to get a team aggressive against, it's an end of season friendly. And look, I'm not trying to make excuses. Like, it is an end of season friendly. Under interim manager, last game of the season, they're off on their holidays, and it's against Portugal. Cian Greeley, how you doing, Cian? To be competitive again, we are looking at 4-5-1 and a pretty basic style. Can't believe I'm saying this, but it's Big Sam time. Irish Jedi, if John O'Shea ends up getting this job, people shouldn't take the frustration out on him, but the board and Mark Canham should be hounded out immediately. East Ariser, how you doing, East Ariser? 10 years ago, yesterday, Portugal thumped us 5-1 in New Jersey. 2 years later, we were at the Euros. Nations League is our best/only chance of 2026 World Cup playoff. But if we change manager now, new person won't have any preparation time ahead of England game. And we are in this. We have put ourselves into. Well, the FAI have put us in this situation, or the powers that be have put us in this situation, and we have a manager now. It's a mess. East Towers. It's an absolute mess. And yeah, I agree. It's mad actually. Last time we lost to Portugal in Portugal 3-0 was Euro 90. No, sorry, last group game in the Euro 96 wasn't 95 in Lisbon. Lash down rain, if I remember. David H. Have to give a shade credit for stepping up to manage Ireland. Yes, absolutely. If the FAI chose him, though, we're going to look very foolish after stringing him along. They need to make a decision now. Absolutely. Whoever is going to take over needs all the time in the world to prepare for England in September. Another serious side. Graham Farrell, if Cannon is tied to Ireland, I'd say he's fuming on that tonight. Donald, O'Shea's record is 1 win in 4 matches, 2 goals scored. Not exactly making it difficult for the FAI to ignore. Oh, lights are going out. I better try and hurry this up. O'Regan Doherty coming on was a classic. Fuck that moment. Peter M, what type of player is Parrott? Is he a 9? Is he a 10? He can't pass. He's not quick. He's just pointless. He's like the big lad with the white boots at school. Thinks he's flashy but shite. Oh, that's a bit harsh. I think he's a good player. Currently, any man near that quality would be the only acceptable outcome for 8 months. Yeah. Great far. People think Portugal are a good side. Morocco knocked them out of the last World Cup. They were knocked out of the last Euros and last 16. And yeah, they won it. But the only team they beat, when they won it 90 minutes was Wales. We have no input up top, says Orange. Are you an orange? Is that an orange or a tomato? Dave McGuinness, I don't think the view of playing a side with some of the old girls squad really had any impact. You need leaders, but outside Coleman, we don't have any, and Duffy, Stevens, etc. could be a contribution over this window. Over the windows was 0. Orange again. Canham has to start versus England. What a cameo. Stephen O'Grady, we need Lowell in there. Lol. Boss and Lol. Connor Rowan. Cannon has to start versus England. What a cameo today from Cannon, says Connor. Again. Stephen O'Grady, what's your 11 with a fully fit squad? Oh, Jesus. You love throwing these at me. I'll get back to that one. I'm just trying to fly through the comments here because there's so many to get through, and I think we're close enough, but we'll get back to that one. Stephen Ring, I'd like to see John go be a number 1 at club level and then come back with experience as Ireland boss. Conor Rowan, Baz O'Gallagher for me, Baz. David H, I agree with Dave McGuinness. And Oisin McNally. All right, David. Was that wasn't great? No, it wasn't, Oisin. It really, really wasn't. I hope you get home safe, though. Tom Webb, if O'Shea or whoever gets the job, I'd be giving Dennis Kirk a call. Need a real left back if Manning isn't right. That's a really good point there, Tom. Dennis Kirkin, Dublin born. We need a left back. Graham Farrell, any chance Seamus McGoldrick can get his brother David out of retirement to play for us again? I was thinking that. I was like, any relation? Peter M. Constant O'Brien, centre backs Festy, and who knows at left back. Stephen O'Grady, McNulty was brilliant at left back. Why do we not try him out? Aslam Garcia McNulty, I think I've got that right. No, Barrett FIFA rankings seems to be accurate enough. Was it 6th in the world versus 60th tonight? Yes. Basics again, lack of accurate passing, and nobody at midfield capable of holding up the ball. Stephen Rank, don't forget Sam Curtis could be pushing Festy right back. Hopefully now Sheffield United are in the championship. He will get a lot of game time. Glenn Forbes didn't put much effort into that away jersey design, did they? I don't mind the L mirror. I don't mind the L opposite jerseys. Did well for Adidas, when you got the white version of the green shirt. Always absolute bangers. Martin Fitzpatrick, need a good coach with experience. Connor, hi Dave, how's life? I'm not great. Which Connor is that? Connor, I wish he was there tonight around about this. Well, you should be, Connor. Look. But he's not. He will be with me in September for the England game, though. And that's going to be good fun. Carl Muckian, there's Levels Portugal are a serious outfit. Wouldn't be surprised at all if they won the Euros. They are a serious side. Paul O'Duggan, Whelan and McLean saying you can't judge O'Shea in tonight's game because it's an end of season friendly. So why give him the job based on a smash and grab against Hungary? RT lads, hard to listen, trying to talk, their mate into a job. I said the same thing, to be honest, Paul. I didn't think you could judge John O'Shea in these 4 games because he's not really using his squad. That's just my opinion, and I don't want to repeat myself. We definitely need to be playing a 4-5-1, 4-2-3-1 with Smollett as a 10. So Shane Martin, I agree there. Graham Farr, 4-5-1 is spot on. Get the ball to Ferguson, and we can empty midfield out and get 2 runners off him without running the risk of being overrun if it breaks down. Peter Ram, even defensively in the 5 at the back, the wing backs are isolated. 2v1, never mind going forward, where we have no pace at wing back. Glenn Forbes, can we just call in sick against England? Our jerseys are in the wash. Shane Martin, I've been off a feeling O'Shea has been told to play 3-4-3 because that's the way Sagnol plays with Georgia, and we can come and he can come straight in against England with players familiar with the formation tactics. That's an interesting one. Graham Farrell, I think that was a tangerine, and there was a Blackpool player in his picture, Dave. Fair enough. Sorry, I'm just flying through video vibes. Hi, Dave. Love your content and passion. Thank you for providing an outlet for this Irish fans event and discuss. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much, Video Vibes. Yes, it's well, that's what we're about, isn't it? We are the voice of the fans. We want you to get your voice out there, and you're the fans. You need to be heard, and that's what we try to do here. We try to, we're not here to pontificate. We're not here to, well, I am sometimes, admittedly, but no, we're here to let you have your say. It's by the fans for the fans. And we let you absolutely, you want to vent, keep it sensible, but vent. Tell us what you think. There's no censorship here as long as it's sensible. And, the FEI, they're aware of it, and they do watch and they do take on board. So this is definitely the place to do that. And, that's what we want to do here. And we've got a few more comments coming in, but, just want to remind everybody, if you're not already subscribe, hit that subscribe button for YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram as well. It's where the action is. And wherever the Ireland team goes, we are always there. But thank you very much, Video Vibes, for your kind words. It's very much appreciated. Daniel Mullen, that was a poor performance. I know Portugal are 10 times better than us, but that was disgraceful. Peter M, was Anthony Barry mentioned again in the press today? Yes, Dan McDonald, who was actually sitting right next to me here, he was watching bits of the game with me, but my feed was about 2 minutes behind, so he's watching it over there. Yes, he was. Apparently, they're still looking at him, and part of the criteria of the Ireland job. There's a lot of beeping outside I can hear. It's going to be fun trying to get home tonight. Can you hear that? Can you hear that? Sirens and stuff. Anyway, apparently, one of the requisites that Mark Canham set out, or whoever set out the criteria, is that you have to have experience, etc. But they'd happily forgo that with Barry because he's so highly rated and so highly thought of. I mean, Bayern Munich paid £1 million, paid Chelsea £1 million to release him from his contract. So, it'd be his first job. It would be a gamble, but it'd be a hell of a gamble. Stephen Ring, if Cannon bottles disappointment, he has to go. He brought in Eileen Gleeson as an interim manager, then gave it a job. I have a feeling we do that with O'Shea. He needs to get onto Dennis O'Brien, get on his hands and knees, and beg for that Trapattoni money so we can get someone in. A lot of sirens go. Nothing has happened outside. Everyone's all right, but there's a lot of sirens going off. I just hope nothing's happened. If there has, please tell me. Peter M, seems like Carsey chase if we're going back to Barry. Could be. Stephen O'Grady, what's your 26-man squad? I'm messing. Sorry, Stephen. You always hit me those zingers. What eligible players would you want us to pursue? Dennis Kirkin, left back. I never even thought that before it was mentioned on here. It's a great shout, Dennis Kirkin. Tom Cannon was another one. He's now tied to Ireland. Look, I think there's still a hell of a side that can be carved out of those group of players. I just think it's just been poor management, not O'Shea, but I just think from the higher ups, the managerial search has been a bit of a has been a shambles. It has been shambles. Let's be honest. Promises were made that they couldn't cash really by those people, by that particular person, and I think it's just really unfortunate where we're at. And you've just had 4 top teams, and you got an interim manager, and it's not fair on the players, it's not fair on John O'Shea, it's not fair on the fans, and then you're expecting to pay a fortune and go see them during the week. It's just a bit of a mess. I thought there was a good side there. I genuinely believe there's a good team there. With if a good manager comes in, or a manager comes in and he's given time to work with these players, I think we can definitely get back to tournaments. International football, I've said it from day one from doing this pod. International football, 90% of the time is having your shit in order. It's nearly 11 o'clock, I can swear. It's just having your shit in order. And then, the rest of that is a bit of luck. Or if you're a top team like Portugal or England or France, then, you just have a galaxy of stars. And anyway, Graham Farrell, love the live pods and match days, Dave. Always try and get involved, especially previews and reviews. Fair play to you and the lads involved. Loving it, lads. Slancha, Malcar. Thank you very much, Graham. Sorry, that was a bit of a mess, the preview or the pre-game. Might actually look to maybe knock some of the... What I might do going forward, that if I'm in Dublin, the pre-games are an absolute... they're absolute blast, because I know where I'm going to be. I'm going to be in the media room. I'm going to get prepared. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to get my favourite seat. I'm going to have Connor next to me, and it's grand. But when you are abroad, like we had a later entry than normal, it can just be a bit of a clusterfuck, and that's what it was today. The microphone went down. So I think might make the pre-games, depending, like sometimes we'll do them kind of like 90% of the time, but sometimes the away matches we might just not do them, because I'd rather have a quality podcast going out, than a bit of a shambles. And today was a bit of a shambles, so apologies on that. Is that beeping the truck? Is that beeping the truck to bring your equipment back to London? I met Martin today, and he's like, "Why do you travel?" Like, had my bag on me. It's like, Jesus, why do you travel with that? It's like, fucking, that's what you got to do, man. You got your camera, you got your microphones, you got your laptop. It's what we do. Stephen Ring, how's Anthony Barry still a candidate? If he was that highly rated, club would have come in calling for him already. Well, Duke, he's not a club manager. I think this will be time after the Euros to move on from that. Peter Brown, need to get Jerry Rocca Vacta sorted, to be honest. He will end up switching soon if we are not careful. Another player as well was Kevin Safi, wasn't it? I think he was called up at the under-21 squad, or he was about to. There was a little bit of controversy around that. Peter Brown, get Vacta's old man as manager. He seems like a good laugh. Greg Farrell, Peter M, that's a great point. Albania are a decent side. Only good thing is that he's not exactly breaking into the Celtic team. And NBO Television Network, when does Mark Callum's position become untenable? Oh, I don't know. Is it not already there? I don't know. It's very... I'd say it's borderline. If this goes on, if we don't have a man... I'll tell you when it becomes untenable. And it's not beyond the realms of possibility, but if we go into September and we still haven't got this sorted, and we still have an interim manager situation going in September, that's when I think there's, without all doubt, he'd probably step aside, to be honest, at that stage. Craig Farrell says, no, I'd say he should be gone ages ago. Well, we've come to the end of the comments, guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to leave it there. I need to get out of here and get home and get some sleep. Flight tomorrow. We will be back for a window review on Thursday night, probably around 9:30. Mark, we've got a few come in there, actually. I'm gonna get these last couple of comments in there. But we're gonna be back for a live review on Thursday, not Wednesday, because I got a late flight. Thursday, we're gonna be live. We're gonna let this settle. We're gonna see what comes out of it. We're gonna dust ourselves off, and then we're gonna talk about the window. And I want to hear from you guys as well. It'll be the same deal. Live, interactive, all that happy stuff. John Muckin, last that was embarrassing at the end. Phil Tabby.
Introducing second tier tournament wouldn't be a bad shout. Will be well attended by smaller nations craving a jolly up on the continent. We're nowhere near the top level yet. Stephen Ring, if we don't have a manager by September, can break out the tennis balls again. We might get to that stage. Stephen and great. All right, Stephen. 11. I suppose Kelleher. I'll go with Keller because I imagine he's going to get a move in the summer to a Premier League side. Not Celtic. He's better than that. No offense to Celtic. Go to the top of my head. Probably, I reckon we'll change. We'll get rid of the wing backs. I think it'll be Manning left back. Centre back of. You put me on the spot here. I haven't had a proper think of it. I'm a Bombadilli and Collins. And you would have right back Ebicelli. Needs to come in, starting. And then you'd have. I'm just going with a 4-4-2 here. No, 4-3-3. I'm going to go 4-3-3. I'd have Cullen. I'd have Knight. I'd have Smallbone. I've Cullen in behind Knight, Smallbone. Smallbone's not really defensive midfield. He's more attacking. And he's a good player, actually, by the way. He's getting better and better and better. And then I would have Smollix in behind Evan Ferguson and Adamida. Or Troy Parr. I think Troy Parr is seriously underrated. But there you go. Sort of butchered it at the end for you. But yeah, just right off the top of my head there. But it just depends, really, doesn't it? Like, who we're going to get in and what system we want to play. This 3-5-2 doesn't suit us. It hasn't suited us. And hopefully next manager will get rid of it. Right. Anyway, listen, I'm off. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for your support over this window. It has been phenomenal. As it always is, guys, you make the podcast. We merely just host it and we give you guys your say and we give you guys a platform to give your opinion uncensored and uncut, and that's what we're all about here. Anyway, it's been great. Well, it's been fun. So we're going to leave it there. Thank you for watching. Your support means so much to us, and yeah, we'll see you on Thursday. 9:30-ish, 9:30. We'll know. Hopefully by tomorrow we'll know. Anyway, I'm going to catch up with Martin, who God knows where he is. He's going back to Porto Airport as we speak. And yeah, we'll see you then. Listen, thank you very much. As I said, guys, before we go, if you love what you see, like what you see, love what you hear, scan a QR code, head over to our Facebook, our Instagram, and our Twitter, and give that YouTube channel a cheeky subscribe. We've got a lot of content on the way to you. Thank you so much for your support. It's been brilliant. And anyway, I'm David Dunn. I am out of here. This has been Lansdowne Roar. And we are done for another window. Anyway, if you're over here and you're watching, safe flight and good night. God bless. Come on, you boys in green.